We call this the Cinderella syndrome. We expect Mr. Wonderful to walk into the room. He falls to his knees going, "Oh my gosh, where have you been my whole life?" And you walk away hand in hand, happily ever after. Now, I consider my two husbands, my late one and my now one, fairy tale stories, but they didn't show up that way. And this is paramount. I hope these women hear this when I say this. You're not looking for the heartthrob, the butterflies, the excitement in your groin area. If you're getting excited and turned on at first glance, there's a good chance that you could have fun, but is he going to be your ever after? Okay? And the reason I say that, not that it can't happen, but both of my husbands, because just because one dies doesn't mean he's not your husband anymore, by the way. So both of them, I never saw coming. I mean, I networked with Pietro for 2 months, lunches and drinks with other, and never saw him coming. When he asked me out, Nina, I was like Shrek. I was like, huh? What do you mean, like on a date? Like I was shocked.
Hello, welcome to the next episode of Healing Millions podcast. Today, I have an honor and pleasure to introduce to you my dear friend, Donna Meador, who is a dating coach, teaching people how to find love in their life again. Donna, thank you so much for being here on my podcast. Thank you. It's my honor, pleasure to have you here.
Oh my God, I love being here and I love your mission, Nina. Keep it up. Woo!
Thank you so much. Donna, let's tell people your story because you have an amazing story to tell. And people who are going to read your book, Dating It's Not Personal, we are going to talk about your book today because it's such an awesome book. Donna, tell us who you are and how you got into dating and coaching. Tell us more about that.
Like most people, Nina, we set out to figure out our problems, and then when we get the answers, we then become coaches to help other people because we've been there, done that, right? So that book was actually, I began writing that in 2004. By the way, dating never goes out of style, so everything is on par. And I realized very quickly I had no idea what I was doing as I ventured out in my early to mid 40s. Yep, I found myself alone. I found myself almost homeless. I was jobless. I was recovering from chronic fatigue. There was a lot going on. And I began the dating journey. And by the way, am I not a catch? Because I went out there thinking I'm a catch. Somebody's going to see me and go, "Oh my God, where have you been my whole life?" And guess what? That did not happen. So I set out to read all the books of the time, the rules. He's not that into you. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. I read them all, and there was something missing for me. So I began to write a book. I never stopped and thought in my wildest dreams that 20 years later, we would be talking about this book. It would be in the hands of amazing women throughout the world. Croatia, Japan, Taiwan. I mean, it's amazing and it fills my heart. Guess what? Dating doesn't go out of style. Yeah, the apps change, the technology changes, but dating itself never really changes. But as we go out there dating later in life, because I'm a woman's dating coach, I'm a heterosexual, middle-aged white woman who have figured out how to attract not one, but a second Mr. Wonderful after the passing of my late husband. So I just wanted to help others do that. I wanted them to not shut off love. Love is so amazing. Why would you not want more love? And so that's where I come from over the years. I had no idea it would turn into a business. I had no idea it would turn into a woman's dating coach. I had no idea I would become a widow and have to go back out there again.
Donna, I love your mission. It's such a beautiful mission. It aligns so well with our mission to bring peace and healing to the world. And you are helping people get more love in their life and also fall in love with themselves as well. And also find the love of their life again. I love that mission. Donna, you have an amazing YouTube channel, which I love and adore. It's Smart Dating Divas. Everybody who has a chance to check that channel, It's amazing. It's so entertaining. It's so much fun. Donna and her husband Jeff, they're talking about all taboos, things you don't dare to ask, and they make it so much fun and easy to understand and easy to apply. Please check her YouTube channel. But Donna, right now, I just want to talk about your amazing book, Dating It's Not Personal. You know, Donna, that's a really bold statement. It's not personal, like, because many people think that dating is personal. Why did you call it like that?
Because I took it very personally when I went out dating. I mean, my gosh, guys would say, "I'll call you later," and didn't. And I had no idea that later could mean after football season. I mean, I thought later meant, after dinner, So I was just misinterpreting what was going on. I didn't understand how to decipher if I was on the same page with somebody or not. And I did not know that it was not my job to make myself get on their page. So I started to do all the research. I read all the books. And I like to say, I have earned my doctorate in dating. Yes, I trademarked that because I am incredible at helping women align and figure out what it is they want. Because often, and you know this, Nina, what we say we want and what our energy is saying is two different things.
I agree with that. A lot of times, like, we really want something, but we attract who we are, not what we wish for. And that's something that is really hard to swallow because, we always think, oh my God, I deserve that. And I'm out there trying to attract things, but when our energy is telling is completely different story. So, Donna, I want to talk about why women struggle to find love of their life, and especially in a very late stage of their life.
Thank you, Nina, because I think about this every day. I mean, this is a calling for me. Okay. The turning into a woman's dating coach is relatively recent in the scheme of things. And I'm always asking myself, how can I help women understand their value? How can I help them understand that we are here and I'm here to teach them how to straighten their crown? And what I discovered when I was writing this book, and those viewers who have read it already understand what I'm talking about, is that I did not value myself. I did not understand what I have to offer in a relationship. I thought, I was all that in a bag of chips, but then I went out dating and discovered I wasn't even getting looked at. I mean, it was incredible how the men I were dating before I met my late husband, which is why everything shifted, thought it was okay to put me on that back burner. So what I did was I reflected inward and said, what is it about me? And I didn't have the red at the time. I had brown hair. It was like, what is it about me that is projecting to them that it's okay to put me on the back burner? That is what I discovered. And when I figured out the formula, now I didn't realize I had a formula, but I started to do very specific things, very clear action steps. And I didn't realize I had a formula until my late husband passed away. And then a year later, when I went out to date again, before I did so, I read my own book. That is me, by the way, with no red and no gray hair. And so I read my own book because I figured it worked so well the first time. And then it started to click. I have a formula. And actually, I offer that for free at smartdatingdivas.com/ABC. It's free. It is the 3 solid pillars that I literally use to sift and sort and make dating fun and understood before the 4th date, whether I should continue or call it quits. That's my genius right there. So that's free. Grab it if you're listening, but then implement it. It doesn't help to just read it. Implement it. You can implement it right away.
Thank you, Donna. I will put the link in the description below so people can find EBC dating. So yeah, thank you so much for this beautiful gift to my audience.
Thank you.
Donna, in your book, you talk a lot about compare game and how it kills joy. Can we talk a little bit about that as well?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Comparing. I mean, listen, anywhere in life, we are here having a human experience. Now, I am an extremely intuitive, Nina. I am bringing that to the table, that aspect. And so when we start to compare, what are we doing? We're crushing our own value. We're squashing it. And I learned it because, again, I was paying attention. And while I didn't think I had enough boob to attract the man of my dreams, I started to realize I had other assets that I hadn't even thought about. And right now I'm just talking about the physical. We're not even talking about my brains, because beauty first, because why? Beauty is subjective and men are visual. This is what we love about these creatures. So if somebody doesn't like this, okay. And it's really funny because I have a lot of guys on, not a lot, but yeah, handful of men on my YouTube channel who complain about my hair. And I'm going, that's perfect, because we wouldn't be a match. We are not aligned. You wouldn't ask me out. And that just makes it easy, right? So I started to discover that I had features, my nice squared shoulders. I have beautiful hands. I've got nice long legs that I caught men looking at. That was the clincher. I went, huh. So it's not all about the boobs. Like, boom. Listen, I was married to Jeff, my now husband, for probably 4 years before I realized he was not a boob guy. And I said to him, you're not a boob guy, are you? He goes, no, I'm a Donna guy. Okay. But truthfully, between you and me, he's a booty man. Okay. So I didn't know that because I never thought I had one. So, but he likes it. So, okay.
I really love how you describe that because, we love to compare ourselves with somebody else, and, but we often underestimate how much value we bring to the table. And like everybody has beautiful parts of themselves, but we don't embrace them. We somehow like put them in the shadow, hide them somewhere. And what I love how you teach people to embrace all parts of themselves and love themselves for who they are. And I really, really love that. Donna, I really want to go back to your story before you start dating. You were at your friend's house complaining that you couldn't find love of your life. And that was your wake-up call. Can you tell the story about that, please?
Yeah, forget about love of my life. I was just looking to find somebody who actually wanted to be with me, right? Like my standards were really low at that moment. But I had just gone through a, a a life event. A good friend of mine had passed away, so I was in the grieving mode. And my boyfriend and I of 7 years had just broken up, and I was trying to get my footing. I was trying to get my feet back under me. And so I would go to my girlfriend's every Saturday night and hang out with her because her husband worked nights, and that was easy. Well, for those of you who don't know this, Saturday night is date night. Okay, that's the hierarchy of date nights. Yes, it's okay to meet for brunch on Sunday or have a Friday night date, which is also a date night, but Saturday night is the night. If a man is not with you on a Saturday night, he is with somebody else. Okay. But I didn't know any of this yet. So I was real new at it. I was trying to figure out and I was getting very comfortable going over to my girlfriend's. And then I got a text. This is like so long ago. It's like text was really new. And this guy in my complex, who I'd met in my local gym, asked me he said, hey, you want to go for a drink? I didn't even know if that was a date. I didn't know what that was. Should I pay? What do I do? Like I was in total like disarray. But I realized then and there that I couldn't hole up in the safety of her home on a Saturday night anymore. That I had to get out there. I had to start learning about how to date, how to decipher and figure out if you're on the same page. I had to put myself out there. And let me tell you something, it takes courage. It takes courage. I do not want any women to underestimate themselves when they go out to date. I am here to help you understand your incredible value, the amazing creatures that you are. And it does take courage. Dating is not for wussies, I'm telling you. But once you learn the system and you start understanding how the sifting and the sorting works, then it becomes fun. And now you want to go out. See, that's what we're doing. We're doing the shift. And that's what happened to me that night. That was the beginning of my shift.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because I think so many people are sitting at home complaining why they cannot find the love of their life, but you need to put yourself out there. And this is exactly what you did. You put yourself out there. You took dancing classes, you went on speed dating, even took a longer journey to your home, like commuting 1 hour to your home just to talk to people. Like, for somebody who is thinking, oh my God, this is so brave. How can I do this? Like, I need to put myself out there, but I'm so uncomfortable being surrounded by amazing people around me, and I have no clue what to do and how to talk to them.
Yeah, you are 100% correct. I never stop. That book is a literal blueprint of what I did. And so if women are reading that book and they're going, oh, she put a camera around her neck, and by the way, I was living in New York City at the time. I was in Brooklyn, so I was around metropolitan, right? I would put a camera around my neck, didn't even have film in it, and I would walk around, and if I saw a gentleman or guy, at that time we were talking about our 40s, uh, who was approachable, who seemed approachable, was decent looking, I just wanted to learn to get comfortable and not feel like I was desperate, that I was stuttering and tripping over myself. So I would just walk up to a guy and go, hey, do you mind would you take a picture of me in front of this building? I acted like a tourist is what I did. I would ask directions to the Empire State Building. I knew how to get to the Empire State Building, but I just wanted to learn how to converse and get comfortable with the flow of conversation, which by the way is energy. Because the very first time I went to a social network, a social dance, I literally doubled over when the guy said hello to me, and I went into hyperventilation like I literally needed a paper bag. Like I thought I was going to pass out because he said hello. I did not know how to deal with that. I didn't know what to say. I was like, blah, 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 blah. So I decided then and there, after I ran out of the place after 10 minutes because I was freaked out, that I was going to figure this out, that I was going to get comfortable going to these dances, and that I was going to learn to stand up and straighten my own crown so that I wouldn't go into panic, I wouldn't be in despair, and I would understand the process of dating, because there is a process.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I want to go back to your book because all these stories that Donna shares with you today, I promise you there are a lot more stories in the book and they're amazing. This is like talking to your best friend and she tells you all the stories from dating and like how she found out that was the red flag and to run away from the guy. It's amazing. Read the book. It's really awesome. Donna, you talk a lot about this in your book that women try to meet somebody and they try to put them in their life and try to adjust their life to welcome new person in their life. And basically what they're doing is trying to fix them to fit into their reality. And you say, don't do that. Why?
Yeah, this is not what that's about. We are not here. It's like going for a job that you're not suited for. Are you going to go for a job to become an airline pilot when you haven't taken flying lessons? No. So what we're looking for is the ease, the fun, the connection, the camaraderie of a friend that there's potential to. And you don't know that until you date. This is not, we call this the Cinderella syndrome. We expect Mr. Wonderful to walk into the room. He falls to his knees going, oh my gosh, where have you been my whole life? And then you walk away hand in hand, happily ever after. Now, I consider my two husbands, my late one and my now one, fairy tale stories. But they didn't show up that way. And this is paramount. I hope these women hear this when I say this. You're not looking for the heartthrob, the butterflies, the excitement in your groin area. If you're getting excited and turned on at first glance, there's a good chance that you could have fun, but is he going to be your ever after? Okay. And the reason I say that, not that it can't happen, but both of my husbands, because just because one dies doesn't mean he's not your husband anymore, by the way. So both of them, I never saw coming. I mean, I networked with Pietro for 2 months, lunches and drinks with other, and never saw him coming. When he asked me out, Nina, I was like Shrek. I was like, huh? What do you mean, like on a date? Like I was shocked. And so I never thought that this man who was debonair Italian, 12 years older than me, would be somebody I would fall in love with. And there it was, right? With Jeff, I was in a different place. I was not looking for love and not looking for marriage. And I kept telling him I didn't think we were on the same page. And he just kept smiling at me. I actually thought he was hard of hearing because he just, I didn't think he was getting it. I'm like, do you understand? I'm dating multiple men. Like I wasn't, at that time we called it a non-monogamous, and he just kept smiling and said, I do hear you. I do understand. And if that ever changes, all I ask is that you be honest with me and you let me know. Who can ask for more than so? Like 7 days later, I was head over heels in love with him. Never saw the guy coming. And it was not because here's where women get confused. Men are visual. And we need them to be visual. We need them. I'm a big advocate of men approaching women. Now, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. I'm showing you what I did to meet two Mr. Wonderfuls in a row. Man, visual, likes what he sees, he goes after it, okay? I then step back and allow him to jump through a few hoops, move a few mountains, like just do it and they will show up. The cream rises to the top, and then those are the ones you want to pick from. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I love that. They need to pick you, and they like somehow it has to be beautiful compatibility. You don't have to fix each other.
You're right. We're not here to fix anybody. And so when we allow the man to make the first move because he likes what he sees, women ultimately fall in love with how they're being treated. And then what may have not been beautiful to you in the beginning becomes so gorgeous that you can't get enough of your mate. And that's the beautiful way of dating. It's so simple. And my heart goes out to these women because getting back to a question you asked in the beginning, and I don't even think I answered it, women hesitate to date. Many women, or those that are hesitating to date, typically do so because they have lost trust in themselves. They don't understand how to discern. They think it's the guy, no good men out there. I can't trust him. My husband cheated on me. We've got all kinds of stories, but really, ultimately, they don't trust themselves. And that's where I come in.
And how can women get back trust in themselves and in men?
It's a process, right? We have to invest in ourselves. We invest in our self-love, our self-understanding. We take responsibility typically, and this is a big hard nut to crack. If I can get women to step back and take ownership for what has happened in their life, whether it's a man cheated on them, they got raped, and these are sensitive topics, but if I can get them to step into understanding it happened for them, not to them, no matter how detrimental, then I can empower them instead of disempowering them. Because as long as we stay in victim mode, we are disempowered. So it's a long process. Not every woman is in a space where they're ready to come to me and talk real talk like this. That's true. But I can help them understand that if they're saying they want true love again, then what is holding them back? And then we start digging a little bit.
Donna, you have your method how to find Mr. Wonderful, and you treat dating as a job interview, which is so fun. And can you tell us more about that? Because it's going to help so many women or men out there like find Mr. Wonderful without like too much heartbreak.
It's not a job interview. We're going to back off of that because that's a different feeling, right? I mean, if you're going for a job interview, that's a whole different energy. But I do approach dating as if it's not personal. So we go back to that. And how do they know before the fourth date whether to continue or not? Well, they get my freebie, which is the ABCs of dating, the ABC dating secrets, with the pillars involved. And if you follow that, if you truly understand what those pillars mean, then dating is simple and easy. You don't have expectation of them calling back. You stay true to yourself and who you are and what you're about. You answer honestly. Like I had a client who said to me, I was on a date with this man and he asked me what I wanted and I didn't tell him. And I said, why didn't you tell him? And she said, well, because I wanted marriage, but I didn't want it with him. And I said, but he didn't ask you to marry him. He asked you what you wanted. Okay. So here we go back to my first real date with Pietro. He says, and he's very heavy Italian accent. What is it you were looking for? And I said, love and marriage. Because at that time I was, and I figured, let him run. Who cares? I'm dating. I'm out there, right? And he said, how about I treat you like my wife, but I don't marry you? That was his exact words. And I didn't care because I wasn't in love with him yet. Okay. So I said, yeah, whatever. And then 2 months later, or not even that long now at this point, because I've known him for 2 months, he goes off to Italy and I fall in love with him over the phone. And when he comes back, I have to ask him the hard question. I love you. He said, I'm gonna love you too. I said, no, this is real. Like, stop it. He said, no, this is real. And I said, well, then I have to know if marriage is on the table, because I knew that if I had compromised that, by the way, that's not compromise. That's giving up what you want. Compromise is picking out curtains. Okay. Compromise is you like certain furniture. Compromise is not when you know in your heart of hearts you want love and marriage, which I did at the time. And if he said, I'm sorry, I can't do that, then I would have said that's okay. And I would have released him, because I knew it would have just taken 2 weeks for me to be disgruntled, right? So when you have to know what you want, and that's also a process. So you go out and date. So you're not interviewing, you're hearing, you're paying attention, you're asking questions. There were guys that were retired and wanted to travel the world. I wasn't ready for that. That was not a match. That was a mismatch. So because I wasn't ready, I wanted to do this, what we're doing right now, Nina. Like, I wanted to create my dating membership. I was still in creation mode. So women know we don't have to jump through the hoops. We can let go of those guys we really like, but even though we're not on the same page, it's okay.
I love that. Donna, you also talk about reverse dating. I think that's exactly what you talk about here. Can you explain people what does it really mean and how they can implement in their life?
Reverse dating. Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of doing that, aren't I? Yeah. So reverse dating is, and this is what I teach in my course, Nina. Who are you and what do you want? And that's not a real easy answer. That requires some thought and some experiences and going out, because most times we find out what we want based on what we don't want, right? So if I can get them to understand that through the dating process of enjoying themselves, by the way, having a nice time, because it's not personal, then they can understand the sifting and the sorting. So if a man like Pietro said to me, well, how about we just don't marry, but I treat you like my wife? The reverse dating part came into me projecting myself just 2 weeks out, knowing I would be so unhappy that I settled on that, because that's not something I could compromise. That is not something I'm going to forego. If you said, how about if I marry you, but we decorate the living room with the furniture I like? Okay, I mean, we can compromise that, right? But something that's so heartfelt that I knew was I needed and wanted, I wasn't giving up on that. And I know there's a perfect man out there who wanted it. And it happened to be Pietro.
Donna, you teach amazing things, and I really love you for that. And one of your teachings is we coach men how to treat us. A lot of women marry person they meet, and then they complain that man doesn't treat them well. Can we talk about that?
You got good ones here, Nina. My heart is so full for men. I adore those creatures, and they get a bad rap. Okay, we bring to the table our baggage. Okay, so here we go again. I'm talking about my smart dating course, which I'm in the process of creating now, putting it together. The essence smart is for self-love. If we are looking for somebody to complete us, to make us happy, to all of the above, it's not going to work. It's not going to work, right? You, dear women, dear divas, my dear divas, are perfect the way you are. So what I want you to do is embrace that. So, Tell me that question again, because I feel like I just went off into a trail.
I ask you, like, a lot of women marry guy and then complain why they treat them badly and not the way they want it.
Right. It's because of precedence. Precedence. When they first started to date, we women have the power to set the precedence. So for example, in my book, I talk about this. I dated one of my very first boyfriends I dated. And by the way, I was desperate. I clung to his leg like white rice. I mean, I was like a dog in heat, like, because I wanted him to know how amazing I was, right? I dated him for 8 months. Now, if I met him today, I probably would not even go on a second date. But at that time, I dated him for 8 months. I had been taking the train. Remember, I lived in Brooklyn, so I took the train to go see him in a nearby county. And I set the precedence, so I did that. And one time I asked him to pick me up. And you guess what he said? Why? Why? You've been taking the train all this time. And let me tell you, ooh, I was pissed. I was so pissed. Now, I did not break up with him yet, but what I did do and learn is that I turned inward going, okay, what did I do? Once again, taking responsibility to cause him to think it was okay to not pick me up. And I'm never going to do that again. Okay. Now, fast forward, because that lasted like another month and then I broke up with him. Now I'm out dating. I'm working in New York City. I'm networking with Pietro. Okay. I'm networking. We're not even having a personal relationship yet. I was in construction and we were networking. And I met him for a drink, turned into dinner. And after dinner drink, it turned into the whole thing, right? I stayed 4 hours with him networking, and I'd never done that. That usually lasted an hour and a half. And now I'm in Manhattan and I got to get home. So I'm about to jump on a train to go to Brooklyn. And I say to him, okay, Peter, I had a lovely time. I got to go. Like, I got to go. I got to get home. And he says, this is almost verbatim. He looks at his watch and he says, it's too late. I cannot let you take the train. I'm going to drive you. And I'm about to open my mouth, right? I'm about to say, oh, it's fine. Like, I do this all the time. I mean, I'm dating in New York City. I'm getting on the trains at all hours of the night. It was no big deal. And I went like this. I kid you not. I went, oh, that would be lovely. And I kept my mouth shut. I kept my mouth shut because I did not want to set another precedent with somebody. And by the way, I wasn't expecting to date him. I wasn't expecting to fall in love with him, but I was practicing the rules. I was following the formula. I got so good. And so he did. He drove me home and I never, ever took the train for him or with him again. So these women are setting a precedent and then they're trying to back out. But men are not mind readers. No, they are not. If you tell them you're fine, they think you're fine. Okay? If you say it's okay if I take the train, they think it's okay if you take. Don't expect them to override that and go, no. Okay? We have set the rules and we set the precedent and we train them.
I really, really love that. Donna, you help women in their 60s find love of their life again. And many women are so afraid of dating. Scammers, especially dating apps, are taboo. What advice would you give to them?
Yeah, I teach a lot of that in my course, Nina, and it's super important because, well, for me, for example, I'm not a techie person. So when I went out to date, I had to first, now back then, the first time there was Match.com. And it's a scary and exciting thing to do, right? You put yourself out there and go, wait, is somebody going to actually reach out to me? Is anybody? And then as time went on and then I went out the second time dating, now there were apps. So I asked girlfriends, hey, which app do you like? There's so many, it's even hard to mention now because it'll be so obsolete or they'll update other ones. And Match.com is still around, by the way. And it's one step at a time. It's realizing you're going out to have a nice time and meet somebody you haven't met before. That's all we're doing here. We're just wanting to meet somebody we've not met. We just want to become friends with, somebody we're not met. Now, when Jeff reached out to me, I looked at his bio and I didn't think we were on the same page. And I said to him, look, you don't have to buy me dinner. We can go for a drink. Like, I don't think we're on the same page. And he was having none of it. Oh no. Oh no, I'm taking you out to dinner. So he gave me like 15 options of where I wanted to go. How could a girl turn that down? I mean, I like it. So yeah, so much fun. It was so much fun. It was so much fun.
What I love is also that you teach people how to enjoy life again and have a fun. That's a really, really important aspect of that. Somebody who is watching this interview and they think, oh my God, this sounds amazing. But I'm in my late 60s. It's too late for me. What would you say to them?
Bulldoggy. First of all, let me tell you, ladies, I'm 66. It never goes away. When I was a kid, I remember sitting on the stoop with my friends in high school. So now we're talking, what, 15, 16 years old, wondering if our parents still did it. And then what were they, in their 40s? It's like, or maybe they were in their 30s, who knows, right? And I had a conversation with many elder women through my journey. And I say after 60, but remember, I started dating in my 40s again. And then I went out again in my late 50s. So it never goes away. But dating is what the relationship and the companionship is what you want. I'm never here to tell women you have to date. That is not who I am. I'm here to help you get what you say you want. So if the woman says, well, I just want companionship, or I just want to go to the movies with somebody, or dinner, or I want to get married, or I just want to live with somebody, or I want my own space, it doesn't matter to me. I'm just helping you get out there, because why limit your world to there's amazing men out there. Everybody loves to be connected at some point in time. And by the way, I know 95-year-olds who date. Okay, so does it go away? Are they living together? No, but they could. I know elders who wanted to get married later in way later in life. They were in their 90s, right? So there's no right or wrong. Of course, now that brings a lot of things to think about to the table, because typically if we're older than in our 60s or 70s, or even when we are younger, we have kids who have opinions, and and other people have opinions, but you've got to figure out what you want. This is your life. And I know I'm a type of person who I love men. I love men. They are amazing creatures who only want to serve and support you. They want to be appreciated. They're so simple. Women complicate things. Women complicate. We complicate. Okay. I did it. And then I undid it. So there we go.
Thank you so much. Donna, when you talk about age, I always tell a story about my grandfather who became a father at age 70. And he lived 112 years. He still lived long life with his son and enjoyed life. And so you never know what is going to happen. And I love that story. Donna, thank you so much for sharing your experience with our audience. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and expertise with us. Before we wrap up this interview, can you please share with our audience how they can connect with you?
Absolutely. It's wonderful. They can connect with me on my website, smartdatingdivas.com. And if they want to do a /ABC, they can get the freebie. That will be a way to connect with me as well. And of course, watch my YouTube channel, because we give it all away there. We have Jeff there, who's a lot of fun, and we get a male's perspective. Smart Dating Divas on YouTube. So easy, easy, easy.
Yeah, perfect. We will put all the links in the description below, so make sure that you check that. And I highly recommend checking her book, because it's such a beautiful book. It's written in such a, it's like a talking to your best friend and hearing the stories, like dating stories, and hearing all about the red flags. Her YouTube channel is also so much fun. You will enjoy it. It's better than any late night shows. I promise you, you will have so much fun watching, and you will learn a lot. If this episode inspired you in any way, please share it with your audience, share it with your friends and family members, and help them find the love of their life. And thank you so much for being here today. Donna, thank you for your wisdom, for your knowledge, for everything. Thank you so much for your friendship as well. Thank you for being here today. And everybody else who's watching and listening, thank you so much. Be brave, shine your light, because the world needs that love and light inside of you more than ever. I'm sending you lots of love and big hug. Bye for now.